Good Saturday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing awesome out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and a great beginning to your new month. Here we are. It is November the 1st. Pretty wild to think about. And speaking of November, are we seeing any kind of crazy weather coming up for the first 10 to 15 days of the month? And that's what we're here to discuss. Significant, storm systems, any kind of severe weather, any kind of early season winter storms, any kind of big time cool downs, big time warm ups. We're here to talk about it all. So after that, we'll discuss today's weather across the entire lower 48, and then we'll wrap the video on up. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. So let's start it off by looking at the Euro, and we're going to start this off for tomorrow. Okay, we do have some energy over the eastern US right now. It's not reflecting to the surface as a lot of precipitation though, and sometimes that's the case. Sometimes you need these areas of energy to kind of connect to make an all-out storm system, right? And that is close to happening. In fact, it somewhat does as we get into tomorrow, really into the start of our work week. And as we move forward here, there's some energy right into here. We're going to watch for a storm system kind of in the southeast. Definitely not cold enough for any kind of winter weather. It'll be all rain. But is there going to be some sort of connection with some northern stream energy and southern stream energy? We'll certainly watch for that, but I do think we're going to get some rain to start, our Monday across areas of the southeast and really along the coastline. So we'll watch for that. Can a stronger low pressure develop? We'll watch. And then a shot of cold air kind of comes down to the northeast with a lot of energy that's diving down out of Canada, but it's not diving down very deep. So that's something to watch. But as we get into next week, sort of a bit of a zonal flow, meaning a lot of our energy is kind of riding through, but it's further to the north. So the entire southern tier of the country just kind of gets dry. There's not a whole lot going on. And the energy that is diving in and then diving out is really affecting just kind of the northwest and then the northeast. So here comes a storm system later this coming work week, and this could bring some higher elevation snow, kind of like what we saw last night across the Adirondacks and higher elevations of New England. And that could be a stronger low pressure. This could do something kind of funky for areas in Atlantic Canada. We'll watch. But for the most part, it doesn't really affect the southern tier of the country. Now, we start to pick up the pace of storm systems out in the Pacific Northwest. Here comes another one. And if I do forget to mention the time, like the time, date, and stuff like that, look up here. So we're starting to get into the morning of November the 7th, which is next Friday morning. And here comes another storm system. This one still dives in pretty far north, so it really doesn't dive in much at all. And then we get about a week from today. I want to watch this. This will probably be a storm system we latch on to, meaning that we talk on a good bit if it continues to show up. But, see this 994L low pressure. That's something that I want to watch. And there's not a lot of cold air associated with it, so I don't think we're going to have a big winter weather side to this. But when it has this kind of shrimp look right here, to me, that tells me some sort of severe weather. So I have to watch Saturday for severe weather, I think, for areas of the country. Will that be kind of right here? Where will it be? We got to figure that one out. And then we get into about 8 days from now, and this could turn to a pretty strong system with some cold air that follows in behind it, kind of gets pulled down from Canada. So we'll see. And then we get about 10 days out. So we start to get into no man's land. And who knows what happens after that. It shows another strong system after day 10 as we're getting all the way out into November 12th. But we'll take it all the way through the run. And this could be a signal that gets going, but it's so far out, right? There's a little bit of mountain snow, and this is, not next Friday, but the Friday after, November the 14th. So what do you take from that? Well, what you take from it is we have storm systems flying through, but it looks like the jet is really anchored to the north, and that is because we have a dominant ridge that's going to keep all the flow mainly to the north. Now, I do want to watch that storm system I just mentioned about a week from today. The flow from that could yank in some moist air. These are dew points further up into the lower 48. So if you notice, as we're getting into this coming Thursday, we get dew points climbing back into the 50s and 60s across the plains, the southern and central plains, and the areas of the Mississippi Valley. And then we get into Friday, we got this pool of dew points in the 60s. That would support severe weather if we got enough flow overriding it. And then we get into Saturday. We get this pool of moist air getting yanked up the Mississippi River. and dew points get all the way up into the mid 60s in certain areas across Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, and surrounding states. Even almost some 60-degree dew points all the way up to Chicago. So we'll watch for that. And of course, we'll have a spike in moisture maybe sometime next weekend across the southeast. And then, the air mass gets cleared out like it always does this time of the year. What kind of flow we'll be dealing with this system? And you can see, and I'm telling you, this will be the next storm system we kind of latch onto. We're getting about 6 to 7 days from now. You see this kind of area of flow kind of shooting across the country. Does that overlap the moist air, say Saturday? Where's your dew point Saturday? Let's back it up here. This is, so dew points Saturday, not today, next Saturday, climbing into the 60s across this area, right? And then you look at the flow. The bottom edge of this kind of jet here is going over that moist air. So we call that overlapping ingredients that support severe weather. You got your thermodynamics, moist air, and then your kinematics, your wind energy in the atmosphere. So that's something to watch there, right? So, and that's in a reasonable time frame, about a week out ahead of us, not so far out, but still far out enough to not get super detailed, right? Now, is there any kind of signal for snow? Not really. If you're a snow weather fan, I don't think at least the first half of November is going to be a big month for any kind of early season snow. Now, Rockies, going to get theirs in the higher elevated regions. And there's a little bit of a signal for the northern sections of the country and for the interior areas of the Northeast. Yeah, a little bit. But listen, I'm not seeing any loud signal for the first 10 days of November that supports any kind of somewhat uncommon early season snow. I'm not seeing any early season lake effect snows that are significant. Nothing too crazy yet. And listen, this is probably because, even the Climate Prediction Center is seeing it. A ridge is pretty much going to dominate most of the pattern. So this is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from the 6th through the 10th of November. It'll be cool for the eastern U.S. between now and the next couple days. But, it pretty much tells a story here. These warmer colors, the orange going into red. This is, and the more red it gets, the better the chances. The chances for above average temperatures it looks like this is just going to be the dominant thing here. So most of the country going to be above average temperature wise. And you even extend this out to the 8 to 14 day outlook, which takes us all the way to the middle portion of the month. The eastern U.S., we're going to get a lot of return flow. But the middle of the country and the western areas of the country, it's definitely a mild. I think it's just going to be a mild first one half of November for most of the lower 48. So, yeah. Now, I do want to say this, and I'll mention this at the beginning of at the end of the video. I don't want to say it right now. So, as far as what's happening right now, folks, we got a little bit of moisture associated with the energy across areas of the Southern Plains, the Southern Mississippi Valley, and stuff like that. But nothing too crazy. A little bit of moisture, maybe a little bit of snow mixing in with some moisture across New England, but not a big deal. And in the Pacific Northwest, we got some energy shooting across Washington, and then just kind of a void right here where we're not seeing a whole lot of anything. So it's a pretty quiet start to November out there. Watches, warnings, and advisories. We do have freeze warnings across across Missouri and areas of Kansas, Illinois, and some freeze watches that are ongoing across these areas in light blue. Freeze warnings across western North Carolina, and some wind alerts across areas of the northern Rockies, Pacific Northwest, with some energy flying through, but not a big deal. As far as severe weather, we do have a marginal risk of severe weather along the Texas coastline, the southern half of the Texas coastline, Corpus Christi. Make sure I don't say Corpus Crispy. I've done that many times before, but we'll watch for that. And then excessive rainfall, not seeing anything. Little marginal risk over here in Washington. Not a big deal. The southeast today, enjoy it. Go out there and get some Christmas decorations. That's what me and my family are going to do. And yes, we will be putting ours up before Thanksgiving for any haters on that. But we will have some moisture shooting across Kentucky, Tennessee, just in the form of some light rain. Some of that might not even hit the ground. And by the time I'm waking up tomorrow morning, maybe a little bit of flow working against the South Carolina coastline. Maybe some rain showers, but it's not going to be a rowdy day at all weather-wise. And Northeast, chilly day, just not really much of anything. A little shower, a little sprinkle, a little snowflake here and there, but not a big deal. The South Central U.S., some moisture will drop down, and this will bubble up some thunderstorms ahead of a kind of a boundary down here in Corpus Christi and just areas of the Texas coastline, really south of Houston. Houston, I'm not expecting anything significant, but we will watch for some weather, some nasty, strong to severe thunderstorm activity across the southern areas of Texas down here. But moving past that, let me know what you're seeing in the UP and Michigan. Any kind of flakes mixing in the interior sections of the UP, maybe northern Wisconsin, and things like that. But I'm so eager to talk about snow, guys. But just not seeing anything. I can't say the S word too much because there's nothing really reflecting that out there. But the Pacific Northwest, we do have some energy shooting across Oregon, Washington State, things like that. And some higher elevation snow, but this is mainly rain. Temperatures today, a very chilly start here in November up here in the Northeast. We got a little bit of 40s here, 30s here, even some 20s in the higher elevation. Southeast, cool fall day. It'll be nice all the way down to Florida. Somebody said that Mike's weather page, Mike, I know most everybody in the Southeast knows him, especially in the state of Florida, but he said it was the coldest Halloween and that he can remember in his neck of the woods in Florida, which he's in Tampa. But a big plume of cooler temperatures across this entire area of the country, and then this is the western U.S. warming up with a ridge building in place. In fact, we're kicking off November in the 70s outside the higher elevations in Montana. Pretty wild. But listen, guys, that's all I got. There's not a whole lot to discuss. I think yesterday was my lowest viewed normal video that I've had in a very, I think it's the lowest one I've had this year, where I was actually shocked. I wasn't even upset. I mean, to me, guys, I've been coming down the last few days with covering Melissa, and it always takes me a few days to kind of move past that because I'm just wired. I'm go, and then bang, it's over, and you don't talk about it anymore. And speaking of Melissa, hope my family there in Newfoundland are doing well this morning, and that did not significantly impact you. But, what I found the last few mornings is I've really struggled to get these videos going because it's like it's been so easy to latch onto a topic the last several weeks that, there's nothing to latch onto anymore. So I've had to kind of switch things up, and it's been a struggle this week. And, I've only been able to do a Bible devotion twice this week, and I don't have any excuses for that. But looking forward to just kind of getting back to the normal flow. I'm glad things have calmed down. And November's kind of an inward month where, you spend time with family and just things begin to wind on down. And I don't have anything crazy planned for the month or anything like that. And December's going to be a pretty active month. But yeah, not gonna really force anything here. What I will tell you is I'm gonna think about it, and you guys give me your opinion in the comments if anybody's made it to this part of the video. But I am thinking about doing kind of not a seasonal forecast for winter, but I want to give you my thoughts on December. I'm starting to get confident that December is gonna be a month to watch for an early start to winter. Obviously, December is getting into winter, but we're going to get a big push in December. It's just my thoughts, and I want to give you my thoughts on why. I know I don't normally do that, but might start to just kind of add that to some of my videos. So we'll see. And I want to make sure I got enough research together and not just show you some fancy colors here and there and then head on off. I want to actually spend some time, nerd out with you guys a little bit and explain my whys and everything like that. But we'll see what we'll do with that. I don't want to promise that, but that's all I got. You guys have a wonderful Saturday. We'll do it again tomorrow morning. God bless all you, and thank you for everything. It's been a very successful August and September and October with covering the tropics, but hopefully you liked my new intro. I'm going to test it, see how it sounds. But that new intro is probably going to be our intro through the rest of winter. So that's enough of me yapping my jaw there. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon.